It's 6 p.m. on a Thursday here in Korea. Welcome to our newscast. I'm Daniel Che. Let's begin with the headlines. President Park holds a unification dialogue. Over 500 advisors from 92 countries join in to offer ideas on how to achieve a peaceful unification of the two Koreas. The Bank of Korea keeps its rate steady but adjusts the growth outlook for next year, citing downward risks while optimistically expressing potential for improvement. Galaxy Note 7 owners around the world, we have the details on how the program works, but the first thing to expect is a full refund or an exchange to another device of any brand. President Park held a meeting with her National Unification Advisory Council with hundreds of members from around the world. They presented their ideas on the nation's unification policies, with the president focusing on inviting defectors to the south and helping them settle once they arrive. Song Ji-sun starts us off.
President Park expressed regret over North Korea's obsession with its nuclear program and said the exodus from North Korea continues because its people are fed up with starvation and oppression, with even high-ranking members of the elite making the journey to freedom.
지금 북한 정권은 가혹한 공포 정치로 북한 주민들의 삶을 지옥으로 몰아넣고 있습니다. 이것은 북한 체제가 비정상적인 방법에 의존하지 않고는 생존조차 어려운 상황에 이르렀다는 것을 잘 보여주는 것입니다.
With the number of defectors now topping 30,000, the president vowed to support them with all necessary measures so they can adapt and settle down in South Korean society.
저는 고통받는 북한 주민들이 대한민국에 와서 자신의 꿈을 자유롭게 실현하고 행복을 추구할 수 있도록 모든 길을 열어놓고 맞이할 것입니다. 특히 탈북 주민들은 미리 온 통일로서 통일 과정과 통일 후에 남북의 주민들이 하나가 되는데 커다란 역할을 할 중요한 인적 자원입니다.
President Park also pledged to provide accurate information about the outside world to the North Korean people so they can recognize their own rights and freedoms. 송지선, Arirang News.
South Korea's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is in the United States for an annual defense meeting. Seoul and Washington reconfirmed their strong military alliance amid North Korea's ever-increasing threats. Kim Hyun-bin fills us in.
South Korea's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Lee Sun-jin, who's on a trip to the U.S., paid a visit to the head of the U.S. Strategic Command, Cecile Hani, on Wednesday. At their meeting in Nebraska, the two generals discussed ways to better counter North Korea's provocations. He also inspected key strategic American assets, including B-2 stealth bombers and B-52 strategic bombers.
We have seen the U.S. extended deterrence against North Korea's nuclear and missile threats. If the North launches a provocation, they will pay dearly.
Hani reciprocated by reaffirming the United States alliance with South Korea.
Well, the United States is committed to our alliance with the Republic of Korea. It's a very important alliance for us. And we want to have peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula, in the region.
He is also scheduled to meet with his U.S. counterpart on Thursday in Washington, D.C. for the 41st Military Committee meeting to discuss security issues surrounding Korea. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
South Korea's Incheon Coast Guard conducted a maritime firearm drill in the waters off the port city. Kim Jong-soo has more on the exercise, which is in line with Seoul's government's response to the persistent instances of illegal fishing in Korean waters by violent Chinese fishing boats.
The Incheon Coast Guard held a special firearm drill Wednesday afternoon in Korea's West Sea to train officers and their new authority to use firepower to stop illegal Chinese fishing boats. After an incident last Friday in which a Chinese fishing vessel rammed and sank a Coast Guard boat and then fled the scene, the government said the Coast Guard would be allowed to use firearms such as onboard cannons and handguns. Thursday's drill simulated altercations between the Coast Guard and poachers resisting arrest. A total of 6 vessels were deployed carrying 130 personnel, with each vessel testing an arsenal of naval cannons, Gatling guns, and M60 machine guns. According to Korea's Fisheries Ministry, since Tuesday, 6 Chinese vessels have been captured operating in Korean waters. 2 off the coast of Sinang County in Jeollanam-do Province, 2 near Baekneungdo Island, and another 2 near Jeju-do Island. Officials say that over the last 5 years, more than 280,000 Chinese vessels have trespassed into Korean waters, but only 200 have been caught. Kim Jung-soo, Arirang News.
3 Korean nationals have been shot dead in the Philippines. Korea will dispatch a special investigative team to the country later today. Kwon Sung-hwa has the details on the incident, the 4th in the country this year.
2 Korean men and 1 woman were found dead Tuesday morning. All of them had gunshots to the head, and all are confirmed to be in their 40s or 50s. The incident occurred in the city of Bacolor, some 75 kilometers north of Manila. According to Seoul's foreign ministry Thursday, the South Korean embassy in the Philippines was informed by local police that the victims were found at a sugarcane farm. One of the men had his feet tied together and the woman had her wrists bound. Korea's embassy is currently on site and working closely with the Philippine authorities. Korea will also dispatch a separate special investigative team Thursday that includes veteran police officers specializing in crime scene investigations and a professor from the National Forensic Service. According to local police, the motive is not yet clear, but there is speculation that someone kidnapped and murdered the victims out of revenge. So far, there has been no evidence found related to who the perpetrator or perpetrators might be. This is the 4th such incident this year and brings the total number of Koreans killed in the Philippines this year to 6. The number of Korean murder victims in the Philippines has been in the double digits over the past few years. Since 2012, Korean authorities have been working in tandem with the Philippine police at so-called Korean desks, which focus on investigations into crimes against foreigners committed in the Philippines. Seoul's foreign ministry held a meeting Thursday on measures against the crimes committed against South Koreans in the Philippines, including $6.6 million in financial support for investigations over the next 3 years. Kwon Sung-hwa, Arirang News.
Turning to the domestic political arena now, the rival parties are butting heads over an ongoing investigation into election law violation that has to wrap up at midnight tonight. 32 lawmakers, including the main opposition party leader, have been indicted so far. Kim Young-gil has the latest from the National Assembly.
The ruling Saenuri party turned up the heat on the main opposition Minjoo Party of Korea on Thursday, accusing it of trying to prevent the prosecution from investigating the Minjoo chair for election law violations.
The main opposition party leaders are saying the prosecution's measures are intended to suppress them. Their reaction shows their intent to reign above the law. Everybody is equal before the law.
The Minjoo party fired back that the government is targeting the party.
This is a false, concocted indictment. It's a plot against the opposition party to conceal the acts of corruption committed by top government officials. We will win the presidential election next year to uphold justice and return the prosecution to the people.
The minor opposition People's Party agreed, saying the prosecution's move against the Minjoo chair was politically motivated. Prosecutors have stepped up their investigations into allegations of illegal electioneering because of when the statute of limitations for violations committed ahead of the general election in April expires midnight on Thursday. They indicted Chiu and other Minjoo lawmakers on Wednesday, accusing her of spreading false information to get elected. Chiu has denied the charges. The same day, prosecutors cleared 2 ruling party lawmakers and a former senior presidential secretary of influence peddling in relation to the election. Prosecutors have already indicted at least 30 lawmakers on charges including bribery, defamation, and influence peddling. Kim Young-gil, Arirang News.
Moving on to other stories now, the Bank of Korea held its rate steady at 1.25% this month, but cut its economic growth outlook for next year by 0.1 percentage points. Shin Se-min sheds light on the reasons for the central bank's decision.
Korea's central bank adjusted its growth forecast for the domestic economy next year to 2.8%, down from an original projection of 2.9% released in July. But it kept its growth outlook for this year untouched at 2.7%. This year's figure is shy of the government's target of 2.8% and its goal of entering the 3% range next year. The change in next year's forecast comes as the bank projects there will be downward risks, but also the potential for improvement.
Next year, there are factors that may help the economy recover. Once commodity prices pick up, you'll see growth momentum improve, especially in emerging economies.
While the BOK governor added that the central bank needs more time to gauge the impact of Samsung Electronics ditching its new Galaxy Note 7 smartphone and the effects of a prolonged strike from Hyundai Motor, he said the recent implementation of an anti-corruption law dubbed the Kim Young-lan Act will not dent the country's growth. With that, the central bank's monetary policy board left its benchmark rate unchanged at 1.25% for 4 straight months.
Unless something unexpected hits the economy next year, it's highly likely that the central bank will maintain its current stance of keeping the rate steady, since another rate cut would mean the BOK would need to abandon its yearly growth target of 2.8%.
But looming uncertainties like the UK opting out of the European Union, as well as low inflation, still mean another rate move is not completely out of the picture.
Consumer price growth slowed even more from the first half of the year, logging a bare 0.8% growth in the third quarter, falling short of its 2% target. That is largely due to low prices in supplying factors like the oil prices, amid slowing global economic growth trend.
The central bank expects consumer prices to grow 1% this year and 1.9% the following year. The BOK held its second special meeting this year to explain why the central bank has missed its inflation target. There, the governor explained that monetary policy does in fact take some time in influencing the consumer prices. He added that the bank will do its part to minimize the gap and also monitor the prices in the long term to prevent potential economic fluctuations. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Samsung begins what will be a final recall of the troubled Galaxy Note 7 smartphone, offering a full refund or exchange to its customers. Our Kwon Jang-ho provides a comprehensive guide for owners of that device.
After one exchange program failed to solve the crisis of the fire-prone Galaxy Note 7, Samsung Electronics is now killing off the troubled smartphone. Users are warned to turn off their device and return it to their telecoms retailer, where they'll be offered a full refund or an exchange to another device. In Korea, starting Thursday, customers can receive a full refund from their network providers through the end of the year. They can also choose to exchange their device with other Samsung models, such as the Galaxy S7, S7 Edge, or the Note 5. All customers will be provided with gift cards worth around $25, and those switching to another Samsung model will be given a voucher for $60 towards their phone bill. Any free accessories that were originally bundled with their device, such as the Gear VR, can be kept. Customers would also be allowed to change telecom providers if they so wish. Customers should get in touch with the relevant retailer for further details, including insurance plans and stock of exchanged devices. Recall programs in other countries have also begun, including the US, where all major carriers are also offering full refunds or exchanges, including full refunds on all related Note 7 accessories. Samsung is also working with online retailers such as eBay to facilitate exchanges for its customers. Users in other territories are encouraged to get in touch with their relevant retailers, as specific details on refunds and exchanges could differ in their markets. Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
The first round of Korea's biggest shopping festival wrapped up over the weekend. Kim Minjoo checks to see if it was a big win for retailers and if there's room for improvements.
Korea's biggest sales event appears to have paid off for the nation's major retailers. The Trade Ministry says duty-free stores saw the biggest jump in sales during the Korea Sale Festa, up nearly 30% from the Korea Black Friday event held this time last year. They were followed by online shopping malls and department stores. The figures were also given a boost thanks to an influx of Chinese visitors, as Beijing's week-long National Day holiday coincided with the shopping event.
I heard about the Korea Sale Festa and came here to check it out myself. There are many things to buy.
Roughly 340 retailers, manufacturers, and e-commerce companies participated in the event, offering discounts and promotions at tens of thousands of stores nationwide. It's the second year that the government has held a sales event like this, but it's still only regarded as a half success. While it may have been an opportunity for retailers to edge back into the black, the event also received a fair share of criticism. For one, some traditional markets didn't know that they were part of the event, discounts weren't that steep, and often didn't include newly released products or designer labels.
I'm not 100% satisfied with discounts offered, but I guess it's okay.
And while the main purpose of the event was to fuel domestic consumption, it's still seen as having a limited impact.
The question is whether consumers are willing to spend after the event is over. They need to keep spending if the whole purpose was to spur consumption. Instead of hundreds of companies taking part simultaneously nationwide during one sales period, it should have been held separately throughout the year. This would give consumers and tourists more reason to visit different parts of the country and consistently open up their wallets.
Experts add that now the government, as well as participating retailers and companies, need to step up efforts to continually fuel people's desire to spend as they enjoy ongoing cultural festivities, so that the massive sales event lives up to its name. Kim Minjoo, Arirang News.
That's our newscast for viewers around the world at this hour. To those of you tuning in from Korea, stick around for more domestic updates coming right up. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for staying with us. I'm Devin Whiting with your in-depth domestic news. Lawmakers in Parliament carrying out their annual audit of the government again spent their day focused on corruption allegations surrounding two government-linked foundations. The foundation's questionable fundraising methods appear to implicate a close personal acquaintance of the president's. Park Ji-won has more.
With about a week left until the end of a month-long annual audit, Thursday's parliamentary sessions continue to focus on the corruption allegations surrounding two foundations. As most standing committees focused their audit sessions exclusively on the matter, the ruling Saenuri party accused the opposition parties of blocking the normal progress of the audit, while the opposition said that it is of paramount importance to get to the bottom of the allegations. The allegations surrounding the foundations have been traced back to Choi Soon-sil, a woman who is said to have close personal ties to President Park Geun-hye. Choi was reportedly involved in the creation and management of both organizations, which received tens of millions of dollars of donations from several conglomerates in just a couple of months. Choi and other senior presidential secretary An Jong-bam, among others, are already under investigation by the prosecution. Over at the Judiciary Committee on Thursday, opposition lawmakers said the ongoing prosecution investigation into the foundations should be handled by the prosecution's Special Investigation Department instead of the current Criminal Investigation Department. However, Prosecutor General Kim Soo-nam said other important investigations like Volkswagen and the toxic humidifier scandal have already been given to the Criminal Department, and it is capable of handling other investigations in a fair and transparent manner. Meanwhile, a civic organization that monitors government audits has given this year's audit a grade of F, the worst grade in the last 18 years. Although it's a mid-term grade and the final grade will come out later, the organization criticized both the ruling party's irresponsibility for boycotting the audit in the first week and the opposition camp's singular focus on the allegations surrounding the foundations, causing it to ignore other important issues. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
Finance Minister Yoo Il-ho said today the government will take a close look at the effectiveness of its measures to control household debt and will consider further moves if it finds problems. Speaking to lawmakers during Parliament's audit, the Finance Minister said those measures could include lowering debt-to-income ratios and new guidelines for group loans. Minister Yu said the government would be watching, among other things, the overheated real estate market in areas like Seoul's Gangnam district. The head of the National Tax Service and the Land Ministry have also indicated they'll cooperate in those efforts to tackle household debt. Korea's vocational high schools have shown improving results for a 7th year in a row in terms of students finding employment after graduation. Vocational high schools include public schools specializing in a particular trade, such as design, agriculture, or tourism, as well as the so-called Meister schools set up in 2010, which link schools directly with companies that will train and hire the students. According to the Education Ministry, some 114,000 students graduated from a vocational high school this year, and it says the hiring rate for those grads rose 0.6 percentage points from last year to 47.2%. 7 years ago, the rate was under 17%. As for those choosing to continue their education at a university, that's fallen from a high of nearly 74% over the same period down to about 34% this year. And those are some of the stories we're following right now. Thanks for watching. We'll be back at 8 p.m. Korea time. Bye for now.